Welcome, everybody. What's going on, everybody out there in the world of horror? You know who I am. I'm Tomcat, aka the Reptilian. Should start calling myself the fucking Psychonaut. How much I fucking take psilocybin, but and obviously, do you know who the host is of this show?
I'm plain old Aaron, soon to be maybe mentally ill, like admitted to an insane asylum because I have this weird echo in my headphones. So
Yeah, I don't have it, so for everyone listening, you shouldn't hear it at all. But so we're watching this movie through Discord, is the idea because it's so new and Aaron doesn't have it in Ireland. Also, I thought of a nickname for you. My brother kind of thought about it because how your name's spelled. We're gonna start calling you Aran.
great, fabulous,
Aran.
fabulous. I thought it was going to be something for a second, for a split second. I was like, oh wait, this actually might be kick-ass. And I was like, wait a second, no, this is not going to be good.
Because he's like, it's kind of funny how it's spelled like it's not spelled like it's Aran, right? So we're like, and I was like, and I said to him, I was like, Aaron, because I was like, that sounds like a big black guy.
No, thank you.
And then I was like, Aran, and I was like, now he sounds like an Iranian, which we can't do any right now.
I don't know how I feel going into this movie because I haven't heard great things, and
Really? Oh my god!
just from this weekend as well. Same thing with Halloween Ends. It just
I know. Fucking good old Anton was like, and I was like, don't be saying this shit. Anton from my podcast, Stranger Podcast, my co-host is like talking us through chat, and he was like, I'm gonna take a shit on this steaming pile of crap or something like that. And I was like, man, I don't care. Okay, I don't care. I'm gonna enjoy it for what the fuck it is. I going into it knowing it's probably gonna be bad. If it's better than I think it's gonna be, then it's good for me. Because, like I've said a million times, we get what we get. It is what it is, kind of shit. I just view cinema as that now. It's just like, all right, well, it could have been better, but I can't change it.
yeah, like I've basically had the entire plot ruined for me.
Yeah.
So I know what happens, and like
I'm gonna shit on Halloween Kills when we do a commentary on that. That thing is, I'm gonna piss all over it and light it on fire.
I'm going to be really interested to see what your reaction to Halloween Ends is going to be, considering you don't like kills. I cannot see a world where you're going to enjoy Halloween Ends.
But I really like the first one. And also, there's other stuff coming for everybody. We're just kind of do a little banter before we start. And then so the idea is we're gonna watch the movie like a normal commentary as we've done. You might just hear a little less of us because we're gonna try to actually like watch the movie and get a good scope of the premise and stuff like that. And then afterwards, 10, 15 minutes, we're gonna do a quick little review. My brother's always texting me, fuck, I forgot how creepy the Conjuring movie universe was. And I was like, okay, the first two were pretty good, and then it gets super stupid. Like the new Conjuring, the new one with the devil made me do it. I was disappointed.
I still haven't seen it. I got it on Blu-ray. I was like super hyped to see it, and then I was just like, I can't be asked even watching it.
Also, I was thinking that for all the fans, it's probably gonna take us a month or two, but we do it once a week. We're eventually gonna do a Friday 13th. I think we should do it from fucking start to finish and do a commentary at every single one. I think it's worth it.
I'd love that because I haven't seen a lot of them many times, like a handful of times. So I would actually like to go through them chronologically or whatever you want to call it and actually do them.
I think it'll be pretty interesting because I fucking love them and they're so kind of ridiculous. I was like, for everybody, got super stoned last night. And I was like, I took mushrooms throughout the day and then I was kind of coming down. And I was like, you know what? I was like, we're just chilling in bed. I'm just going to smoke up a crystal bowl, a keef bowl for all the new kids. It sounds like I'm smoking crystal meth because that's what we used to call it when we were kids. It was like crystal. It was like weed crystals. And then fucking put it on top and I was like, die. I was wanting to watch Friday the 13th Part 4, and I was like, I can't watch this right now. Like, I was like so high, I just didn't want to watch kill scenes and shit like that. Like, I love horror, I love it to death, but like when you're in that high state of mind, or I'm like super stoned, I'm like, I was like, no thanks.
Yeah, it's like the last thing you want. Not to change topic too much. And
Yeah,
I don't know what I just thought of it because I'm wearing a Spirit Halloween hat.
You bought a Spirit of Halloween hat.
Yeah.
You're a fucking loser.
See, we don't have that here, so like that to me is like this faraway place. It's like being to the fucking moon. Like today, for example, this morning, I brought my kid. We went to like one of the Halloween stores in the small town we're in. It's fucking.
Do you like it?
Terrible. It's fucking. It's
really?
it's like a news agent. You know, like where they sell like fucking papers and magazines and shit like that.
Like a bodega?
Yeah, and they have like a coffee stand and shit like that.
Yeah.
And then just like down in the back corner is like, oh, it's our Halloween store. And it's like 5 racks of like terrible costumes that no one's bought. Like shit, like Donald Trump mask painted like the Joker. I'm like,
yeah, I was talking about Barber. He's Jamaican. I was like, you guys don't celebrate this shit in Jamaica, do you? And he's like, no. He's like, Jamaicans are super scared of the supernatural. And I was like, makes fucking sense. And I was like, because it's not celebrated everywhere, but Canada and America, right? Every holiday is exploited for marketing and stuff and making money. That's literally what it is. Like every Christmas, like they have Christmas shit out already.
Same.
Like, fuck off, man. Like fuck this Christmas bullshit. I'm like, and I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of fucking Christmas at all. Wasting money, going into fucking debt.
Neither am I, to be totally honest. And it might sound awful to some people. Like, oh my god, you're so depressing. I find Christmas can be quite depressing in a lot of ways, to be honest, which I'm like, I just want to get this shit over and start the new year. I don't really like even New Year's either. Like New Year's for me as well has always been, again, it's like we've talked about this before, but like Halloween, like parties and stuff. I always have this vision in my mind that like I'm going to be at this like big, huge, kick-ass, like fancy dress New Year's party with like friends and stuff. And I'm like, that has never happened to me. It's like,
I know
New Year's has always been.
I gotta do it, and usually on New Year's the past couple of years, I would just hear drunk. Like I was in my house drunk, fucking. I always get the thing that pops and all the fucking shit goes everywhere because I would usually like drunk as fuck. I'm like, boop, like just like there's a video of me that's pretty funny though. You can see my face while I'm watching it all. I was like, this year I'll probably just chew a bunch of mushrooms. I won't drink like as much. Like I might have like a glass or a champagne, but it does. It would be kind of fun. It's always you just watching the stupid countdown. There's a lot of shitty bands and it's not great.
I used to always want to be in Times Square for New Year's.
It looks awful. Every time we've watched it, I'm like, man, these people are just fucking cold, and it's just like their gay little hats and shit.
Yeah,
so
you see, I think a couple of years ago, like because we're so far removed from that, you see the 15-second like super clip. And you're like, wow, that looks like lots of fun. Everyone's having lots of fun. And then you think about the reality of it. Like my aunt lives in New York and her and my uncle were like, yeah, you have to go at like 1 p.m. to start queuing up for that shit. And then you've got to stay there for like 16 hours in like the freezing cold and you can't move and you can't piss and you can't do anything.
Everyone's got a fake face on. They're like,
it's just fucking terrible. Like, yeah. I was like, yeah, I guess.
Well, it's because cameras are around, so everyone's like, "Ooh, cool! I'm in New York in Times Square." But I feel like by like the 3rd or 4th hour in, you're like after sitting there, it's probably like, "Huh."
After you've like pissed and shit yourself and
it does not look fun.
No,
and then the fucking COVID shit, they had everyone in like a cube. Everyone has a little seat. And it's like you pay probably so much money to see some shitty fucking performers. Like a lot of it's like no one really is that big that headlines. It's all these like shitty bands and they look cold. No one wants to be there.
I always find it's like people who fell off like 15 years ago.
Yeah. And
they're like, oh, we've got this like whatever it is, rapper or a girl band that like went out of fashion like 20 years ago.
LL Cool J. This is like,
it's like all right,
or like Coolio, who's dead now, but like fucking just like it's always someone like for our headliner, we have Vanilla Ice. Since like everyone's like, what the? Why we fucking put Vanilla Ice up here? But to get into the Munsters movie. So everyone, let's bring it in soon. I'll tell you, like, I watched this a lot when I was a kid, all the time. Like it was always on the TV.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I was a kid, I was like, I think I was like 7, 8 or whatever, right? You would see it on a certain channel. But then even when I was a teenager going to high school, it was always on like around lunch, 11 or 12 on a certain channel. I can't remember what even channel it was. It's some sort of like Lifetime, like fucking bullshit channel, but it was always on. So I always watched it. I always enjoyed it. Like I thought it was kind of funny and quirky. Like I remember the movie. And you know, like the grandpa's fucking funny car that he'd always like fix on. He had those goggles he's always wearing. Like it was good for that time era of like 1960s like horror comedies. Like, do you ever see that? It's like Billy's Horror House of some shit. Have you ever seen that? Let me look it up.
It sounds familiar. Yeah, and like for me, again, like not a huge Munsters fan or anything, but I definitely watched it a shit ton, and it was one of those shows I remember growing up over here. You know, we had certain channels that would do a massive amount of reruns of shows like that, like Adam West's Batman.
Yeah. It was always like fucking I Love Lucy.
Yeah, like a lot of that stuff. Fucking what's her name? She died this week. Jessica Fletcher, Murder She Wrote.
Oh yeah.
Well,
all that type of shit was always on the like nostalgic TV. And it's just like I was joking. There's a commercial for a channel like that, and I was like, oh, that's nice for all these people that are almost dead. I was like, they can watch all their fucking shows that they remember when they were like a little girl.
Do you know what's crazy? Growing up, like the shows I watched the most, like I had the most access to, would have been things like this, Knight Rider, Airwolf, The A-Team.
Airwolf?
Do you not remember that?
No, that sounds fucking bad.
About that, like fucking...
Like is it like Jordan, like, but he's a werewolf?
It's like this, this like fighter helicopter thing.
I can't find this fucking show, and people are gonna fucking scream at me. I'm like, okay,
I think you're just making
House
it up,
of Horrors, Billy's House of Horrors, something like that, some shit. And I used to watch it all the time. Oh, the hilarious House of Frightenstein. Do you remember that fucking show?
No.
It's like super quirky and weird, and it came out when it was a TV series. That's fucking fun. If you've never seen this, it's like I grew up watching this shit. It was always on, and it reminds you of that similar style of like, oh, it makes scary funny during the 60s. It's like, oh, it was a Canadian. That's crazy. 1971, and it was a Canadian show, and I've watched it recently. Vincent Price was in it. Like it was like a Billy Vane, and this guy like kind of played Dracula, and there was like an Igor, and then Vincent Price would do like his spiel, and they would show like kind of funny. It was like a comedy show. If you ever heard of it, wow, that's crazy.
I love the idea of horror hosts and stuff like that. And even like those, I think Anton talked about it on a previous episode. I can't remember the name of the show now. But
Joe Bob.
No, those guys who were like local to Buffalo.
I have no fucking clue.
Yeah, and they had their thing. They're on YouTube and stuff.
Does it sound bad that I don't like? I don't know if I really like Joe Bob that much.
Wow, we must be on the same plane of existence, because that was where I was getting with that, where I was going to come out and just say it outright. I'm like, I don't like Joe Bob. I don't find him funny. His shows,
I feel like I could do it better. And like, I always say that, but I feel like I could.
Fucking 4 hours long, and I'm like, oh, Joe Bob, shut the fuck
I've tried to give it a chance, and it never interests me that much. And I know Anton loves it, cool, but like I can't get into it.
I know so many people that love it, and like I've tried so hard, because the idea on paper, I'm like, that's exactly what I would love. And then every time I watch it, I'm like,
should be like, this movie is about this, and then I'll be like, make my own riffs on it.
I don't know.
But like, I don't know if it's
just
dry humor. And I'm not like, I'm not shitting on him as a person or what they're going for. As a horror fan, I don't know. I just can't get into it. Sorry, but
it's great for horror, and it's great for things like Shudder and stuff, because I know he brings a massive audience. But I personally just don't really get it. Sometimes I find it really hard to sit there through a whole special.
I never knew him other than through Shudder. Like Anton did beforehand, and I never even heard of this guy. And I'm sorry for the people screaming out their fucking radios they exist anymore, or they're like their fucking phone or whoever you're listening to.
Whoever out there is listening to us on their radio.
But like I don't know. Sorry, but I just can't get behind it. I don't know.
Same.
Like it's okay, but it's not that great. I'd rather watch Elvira and her fucking big lesbian tits, according to her.
I didn't realize that what's her name, Darcy the male girl or whatever.
From the Munsters?
No, from Joe Bob. You know that chick he has.
Oh, she's from Tim the Tool, isn't she not?
I didn't realize though that she gets her tits out on Twitter and stuff. I never.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, the male girl. It reminds me of like, you ever seen? Please tell me you've seen Home Improvement.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Do a fucking commentary of that the Halloween special, and I was like, what outfit Tim's in? It's actually like, he's like the monkeys from the fucking Wizard of Oz, and he's like one of the the Halloween like fucking Home Improvements are actually fairly good. Because Chelsea's my fiance, her they have like they've shared like their I don't know what it is, ITV or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking people have iPhones. I don't even know what it's called. And they bought like the whole season of Home Improvement. We watched it kind of over, and still holds up, still's funny, super sexist in today's eyes, but still great.
I've watched all them multiple times.
So let's get into this. I've always liked this. I thought it was like it's just something I remember growing up on as a kid and enjoyed the show. It was something you could always just click, and I'm sure this is
terrible
for the older generations. I'm sure it's like a big thing. You know what I mean? Like the people that actually like, grew up like, and they're like maybe 13. Like I was young watching it, but I wasn't in the time era when it was a thing where you'd be like, got to stay up on fucking 6 o'clock tonight to catch the fucking show. You know what I mean? The kids don't know what that's like anymore, but like how Rob Zombie talks about that, how he would have his TV guide and like wait for the fucking show, and then you have to like record it and shit like that. It's not the same nowadays. Now I sound like I'm an old cracker, but
and also I'm going to go out on another limb here and say that my favorite like spooky Halloween kind of quirky family are always going to be the 90s Addams Family.
Yeah, and I tried to watch. I was looking on Tubi, and actually CTV. You can probably get the app. It's free, right? Like you can just type it in your computer, and they have some good horror movies on there, and they're free. You just have to watch commercials.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, they have some like old, like good, like 90s and 80s films, even like some throwbacks and stuff that I haven't seen. I'm like, that's kind of cool. SATV or whatever. I think it's CTV is doing that. When I was looking, and there was watching Tubi, and there was an Addams Family Halloween special, and I was like, that's just cool. And I clicked on it, it's from 1971. It was really bad.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Poor quality. Now it's HD, and it looks like shit. I always liked the Addams Family too. The 90s show, right? That was like on YTV and stuff.
I never knew. When I first seen those movies, Addams Family and Addams Family Values, I had no idea.
Both very good movies.
I had no idea like that there was any previous. I thought like they were, like that was like the inception of the Addams Family.
There was board. I remember having like a board game you could play. There was like there was the cartoon show, which I did watch with my cousin. Like when we were growing up, there's a lot of stuff, and like there was stuff from the 1950s and 60s.
Every Halloween, I watched those two 90s movies every single Halloween.
And I like going back to them. They're actually they're pretty good. Christina Ricci is in that. Like she plays a great Wednesday, and that fat fuck the page. Like everyone like in the movie, because it's our childhood, and because I think we grew up watching it. Everything matches up. So then people are like, why is that guy from Waiting playing Gomez? Like on the new one.
Do you know what, right? I showed my kid them for the first time last year, so he was 7 at the time. And like, yeah, I didn't realize till I looked back on them, they're actually a lot more freaky than I think you would get a kid's like Halloween movie now. Yeah. Yeah. They're a lot more weird. Sure. And there's a lot more like sexual undertones and stuff.
There is in every movie. And I start to see it through other movies. That's why I was talking to you, and eventually that will be coming, about like looking at movies and symbolism in the occult. And like, Anton's like, don't fucking ruin it for us. Talking about Hocus Pocus. And I was like, it was like not that great, but I was like, in all these movies, there's the cult like symbolism and shit. And I said to Chelsea, she's like, well, look, I'm not fucked up and I watch these movies. And I'm like, yeah, but how do we know how it affects the psyche of kids if there is some weird subliminal messaging within like a film? You know what I mean?
And it's strange how it's changed. Like, if you take Adam's Family Values, for example, when Fester gets his wife, that crazy bitch.
Yeah, that whole thing is fucking like, oh,
and like
man.
she makes him buy that huge mansion, and like she's like,
fucking funny.
There's a scene where she's like sucking on his fingers and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And she gets on top of him. She's like, she says something like, you want me to ride it like this? And then he goes cross-eyed and starts like trembling in the bed. And it's supposed to be like him coming and stuff. And I'm like, wow, this is
a kids movie.
I was like, this is weird.
There's so many sexual overtones in like kids movies and stuff. Like, oh, the parents will think it's funny, but we don't necessarily need that. I was gonna say before we get this started, we should we always mention things we're gonna get up, but like I would 100% next year for Halloween even do Addams Family, both movies, as a commentary, because, and I think people, for everyone that listens to these commentaries and enjoys them, because we've been pumping them out so often that we haven't even, when we're recording this one, we have not even released like any of them really. Like they're all in fucking stocked up and they're like getting ready to be released. But we're gonna be releasing them so much that I feel like if you're a fan of us and what we're doing, I think you could probably listen to this without watching the movie. Yeah. But like the whole premise of the banter we have is so good. But like the whole premise of the movie, right, is or like commentating is to watch it with us and you can kind of enjoy it. And we'll do the shit way better than Joe Bob fucking Briggs is gonna do it. I wish I had like a poop button, like a.
I have to agree with that. I don't know. And this sounds so bad, like, because it sounds like I'm shitting on Joe Bob, but he's great for the horror community and whatever. But he's just not for me. I just don't find it enjoyable. Not for me either. And that's not.
You can't have everything like the same. And it's with any group, right? You know what I mean? It's just like even say it's the example, right? All right, just go with me. Like the LGBTQ plus community, right? And it's just like they're all supposed to be this one umbrella. But if one like gay guy is like, I like Trump, they're like, fuck you, get out of here. Like you can't, you know what I mean? Like you can't, because it's a community, you can't have that. People are different minded. So even in a huge thing like a horror community where everyone's like, I love horror, and like it's like subjective. That's all it is, right? People remember that.
For example, we may watch this movie and may enjoy it, considering that probably 95% of people that I've heard mention this movie said it was a steaming pile of shit.
I've also seen good reviews though. I saw a couple where I'm like, these people were like, it looks like Rob Zombie style film. There's people watching the trailer, so just like reading the comments on YouTube. But I guess it wasn't actually a review of it. People were like, this actually. Some people were saying it looks like shit, and other people say like this looks like a Rob Zombie.
Also, something I want to mention right before we get this started is, and it's a trap. It's a trap that I used to fall into a lot. Going to IMDb and looking at the reviews. I personally don't do that anymore, just because. So you have the people who don't like it will always be like, any good review on this is paid reviews from a PR company. And then anybody who does like it then is doing the opposite and being like, this is like, God sent this down from above, and it's like the best thing that was ever made, and it's amazing, and it's 10 out of 10, and it's this and it's that. And like, I've always found that like I like found footage, and like they get slated from the get-go. And I've watched so many found footage movies and been like, I actually really like that movie, and it has like a fucking 1.8 out of 10.
No, I've noticed that too, and we'll bring it in like in literally a minute or two. I was looking up some movie, and it was like, I don't know, fucking 40 or 50% Rotten Tomatoes, and then I clicked the reviews. Like I think it was like Hellfest. I'm like, should I watch this? Which we're eventually gonna do a commentary on, I think. It's like, I've never seen Hellfest. I was like, oh no, I'm just gonna. And now that I click on like the Google reviews where you like look up the movie and then it's just like, it shows you like the whatever, like the things you can click like a reviews. And it's just like people from Google or whatever fucking that are just rating the film, and you get a true opinion. People are like, I liked it, whatever. I'm a huge horror fan, and other people are like shitting on it, but it's a point of perspective, right? So,
and I personally loved Hellfest so much so that I don't know if you can see it there. I actually have the The Mask from Hellfest.
I've never seen it, so I wouldn't know what the fuck the mask looks like.
There.
There's a lot of things like me and Aaron go back and forth so often where I'm like, okay, let's do this. Like we're talking about so many movies to like commentate on because either way it's content. And even if there's one guy that has like a fucking banner that loves us, but like fucking woo, like one dude is all I fucking care about. It's like you never seen Tenacious D where they have that one dude like that's like it's like super fucking into it the whole time. I don't give a fuck. I like this.
So did I.
I'm definitely going to rewatch this with Chelsea, and I'll probably rewatch this like every year.
And part of me didn't want to like it.
I know, but the thing
like
is, that's why I'm honest. I don't
it,
care. I watched this show as a kid. I like that, and it does leave it off like they could do another one. The ending cartoon scene is awesome. I think this is cool.
Yeah, I definitely think that there's something, well, at least in his mind anyway, there's something on the back of this.
If he could pick it back up.
Yeah,
if everyone hates this, I'll send him a fucking message and be like, bro, I actually really like this.
I really enjoyed that. I genuinely don't have anything bad to say.
That's pretty good. I actually did like that a lot. I don't know if it fucking turn off the screen from now. Yeah. Man, I like, and from what I've seen, and we will do a review on this. And I feel like we've been fairly quick. Like, also when this comes out, I think we should release this fairly quickly. Let's say, and I actually want to produce this on my end too, just because I think it was a pretty good one, and because it is kind of relevant, and I know people are gonna shit on this film, but I liked it, and we'll do a review on it. But right now, I'm almost giving it like an 8.5.
Same.
I really did enjoy the aesthetic of the film and the look of it, and like the kind of little bits of stupid comedy.
And for me, like I had mentioned,
was different. I liked it.
The 90s, Addams Family and movies like that. Like I love the original.
I watched this show all the time when I was a kid. Yeah.
So I could see this movie definitely slotting into like my fun, maybe kind of kid-ish Halloween rotation.
Yeah. When I have a kid, I would show him this film. No problems. I didn't see anything wrong with it. Like there was no like there was obviously some subtle, but like nothing bad. It's just a fun, quirky movie. Like and it was the first time seeing Rob Zombie not do like a graphic horror film.
Which leads me to believe that he does have a very good understanding of what he's doing. It's not just like, oh, you know, he's a horror guy that just does like kills. And Faye mentioned like about showing it to a kid, and there's nothing really in it that like I wouldn't let a kid. Yeah, that I wouldn't let a kid see. I watched a movie on Netflix this morning. The Curse of Bridge Hollow.
Is that one with Marlon Wayans?
Yeah.
How bad was it? I was expecting it to be horrible.
Not bad at all, actually.
Okay, maybe I'll watch it fucking tonight or something.
I was actually kind of surprised. Now, look, it's not amazing. It just sort of feels like one of those like kind of Disney Plus movies.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's a lot better, I think, than I was expecting. But I was surprised. There's like some bad language in it, which I was a little bit surprised by. Yeah, like I remember them using like bastard and stuff.
See, that's weird. And part of me, like, I don't care if my kid swears, like, not as long as it's not in school. Like, part of me is like, whatever. If you're like, you stub your knee, you're like, shit. It's just like, I swear so much, which I'll have to tone down. Even in people I know the podcast, like, even sometimes editing, I was like, I said, that's fuckity fucking like, I said fuck within a minute span, like 7 times. And I'm like, I don't hear it, but I remember someone reviewing it and be like, I love this show. It reminds me of like chilling with, the boys smoking up. And he's like, the fact that you guys swear a lot, I really like it. And I was like, do I swear that much? And then Anton said something about his friend when he first got into the show, when Anton got introduced as a host. He was like, Tom swears more than a fucking Boston sailor or something like that. And I'm like, do I? And I'm like, now I'm trying to tone it down a bit.
Yeah, and I think I do that a lot, and I hadn't realized for a long time that I actually did.
And part of me doesn't care, but there's part of me like, I guess I don't need to emphasize everything by saying, fuck. But yeah, if you hear other shows, like we don't use the same word like cunt. Like if you it's a harsh word kind of over here towards people, right? Where stuff like Gorda, because where you guys are from, he says that fucking all the time because blaring his pod. I was listening to his one with Mark Weissop or whatever, or not Mike Isaac Weissop, and I've started one of his books. He's an interesting dude. I would like to, and he's I like him, but I'm not a huge fan of religion. And he seems
Mhm.
very Christian, right? But Gal Gordo says like I was listening to at work blaring on the speaker because I'm in this small shop. There's like 4 or 5 of us, right? And he says like cunt, like such like often, so often. It's like people over here be like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I always get that. Like I always have people say to me about that, and I think it was when I interviewed the Cherry Falls director a while back, Jeffrey Wright.
My brother said he really liked that actually.
He's an Australian guy, and he said he was talking about like an experience I think he had with an executive years ago or something, and he was like, yeah, that person's soon after that was no longer with the company, and he was like, over the years it just kind of spiraled down for them. He was like, hey, yeah, no, look, I heard a lot that person was a cunt, and I was like kind of taken aback because I was like, I don't ever really hear other people use that from other parts of the world. It's like a vulgar, like awful
No,
thing.
Billy always says it, but Billy said one joke on the show. He's like, "Hey, if you're a cunt, you're a cunt. I'm gonna fucking call it something like that." It's just like, and because people, someone got offended by it or something like that. So I made like I always make those stupid memes where it's just like Billy's like it's just like someone saying like when fans hear Billy say the word cunt because somebody fucking messaged us about it or something. It was like just a Karen face. But there's a lot of stuff coming, and I'm like super excited. The fact that like by the time this one comes out, the vampire thing comes out, and how'd you like the artwork?
Do you know what, right? When you first sent that to me, I don't know if I saw it on my phone or whatever, and I looked at it and went, oh yeah, that's cool, and I didn't think any more of it, and then I was like sitting there, and I think
Did you not see your face?
Yeah, and then I think I was sitting there, and I don't know what made me open it back up again, and I was looking at it, I was like, wait a second, I was like, is that me? I was like, is that us?
Is that funny that
hilarious.
the one the Lost Boys one where you're like in the front and then
Hilarious.
Anton's the girl with her head on my shoulder? It's fairly good because I do that for fun because I want people to we're essentially like you people listen to audio even we're selling you us is what it is that's what we're selling you on. So I want you to be connected to what we look like and who we are. And like that's a fairly fun art. And I'm going to try to collab everyone. I don't know if it lets you do that, but if I don't, you got to post that shit too because I think it is fairly funny. So I always do it from my side where I do like a story. I create a story mode thing so people can see it as a story. And I also create like the graphic art. And I thought that episode was fairly good, so that's going to be out soon. So like we have a lot of stuff coming, and I'm just like super excited about everything because I was even just thinking about it. I was like, man, I'll have to wake up at like fucking 6 a.m. sometime, and we'll have to do like the longest live stream that like I've ever done is just talk for like because I feel like I could never shut up with you that we could just talk for hours.
Yeah.
So we could do like a 4 or 5 hour like live stream or thing where we just kind of talk freely and then put it out there for like a month or something, and then take it back and put it on Patreon.
Yeah, I would love to do that, and I would love to. I really want to start fielding questions from people, or get people every so often to maybe give us topics, and we can just not really research and just kind of jump into maybe once a month or once every other month or something like that.
Obviously, I want to know what people think and what they want to hear, what they want to see us watch, especially if somebody likes that I maybe have not seen it. Right. So I think it's a good time to end it. I actually got to go to the mall because we have engagement photos this week. So I have to like make sure I'm looking nice and spicky. That's what
nice.
I have. That's spick and span. I just said it was nice and spicky. I was like, no, that's a bad term to say. But like, it's like I got a haircut. I got to fucking make sure I look good for this shit.
You have a mall in our town?
No, in the city over. We're like a small little like. There's like, and I'm glad I'm out here.
Like, wow, that's a lucky.
We have a liquor store, like an LCBO, a grocery store called Foodland, and like a restaurant or two, and that's like kind of it. Like, it's not much to it, and I like being out in the country. I would not trade this for anything, especially when I was a kid. I was like, I love the city. I want to move to Toronto and be a famous fucking rapper. Older I get, fuck no. I want to be in the middle of a fucking cabin in the middle of nowhere with a shotgun. Like,
yeah. You probably have the right idea there, to be fair.
So this is really exciting. We'll talk more. You know, like I want to try to release this fairly quickly, but make sure everybody, right? This is important that people are even hearing this and listening to this. And if you want, chop even like maybe we should do the full span for YouTube. But you could also chop it down with just the beginning and the ending of like, I actually like enjoy this movie. I thought it was pretty good. It depends on how you want to do it. Cause we could release a small little 15, 20-minute teaser, for people. Cause generally people have no attention span. So they see something that's like an hour or 2 hours long. They necessarily might not want to tune in, but if we can cut down 15 minutes, people might be like, okay, I want to listen to the whole thing is my idea. But the Halloween special, right, will come on the Halloween weekend. We're on it. We're talking about the Ouija board. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then the Halloween Live is really where I want people to come tune in. And that's 6:30 Eastern time. So people on the other side of the world, stay up, have some drinks with your friends, cast it to your TV. It's going to be on Twitch, which is Strange Brew TTV. It's going to be on YouTube, Strange Brew Podcast. If we can figure out how to put it on Aaron's channel, we will too. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be on Facebook and stuff like that, Strange Brew Podcast. But I want to get people in for that because we're all going to be dressed up in the special and for the live show too.
Yeah, I have to just my costumes. I actually can't wait to put them on.
This is going to be very exciting. So, all right, everybody love everybody. We thank you for tuning in. You know where to find us, www.strangerpodcast.com, and obviously Aaron. And then I got to get out of here.
Yeah, it's just usual for me on Instagram under First Class Horror is where I'm most active on social media. I do have basically every other social media account. I really want to start pushing TikTok, but I don't know, I feel like I don't have the creative brain like Tom does to actually
I fucking create weird shit though.
Record videos of things that are around me. Like I have a shitload of cool stuff around me and I just never, I don't know, I never sit down and go, okay, what can I make a short video of on TikTok?
I can inspire you a bit. I'm pretty good at that. I feel like I could have been a filmmaker if I was not a drug addict when I was a kid. But no, fucking everybody love everybody. We love you guys. This is actually a fair. I actually really enjoyed this. So you'll probably hear this on my end too. So you know what? Like, everybody love everybody, and if you don't like my shit, go fuck yourself.
Likewise, what he said.
And that.